In 2011, a 33-year-old Aboriginal woman named Lynette Daley died on a remote beach in northern New South Wales from catastrophic injuries inflicted during a violent sexual assault. 2 men were present. The evidence was overwhelming. The NSW Director of Public Prosecutions was given the file. They looked at it, and they decided not to prosecute. 4 years passed. The DPP received the file again. They looked at it again, and they decided again not to prosecute. It was only when a Four Corners investigation broadcast the case on national television in 2016, only when Australia watched and demanded an answer, that the DPP reversed its position. The men were charged. They were tried. One was convicted of manslaughter and aggravated sexual assault. He served less than 8 years. The other was acquitted entirely. Lynette Daley was 33 years old. She was an Aboriginal woman. She was a mother. She was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend. And the question that this case has forced Australia to ask, and has not fully answered, is this: would the DPP have made the same decision twice if Lynette Daley had been someone else? Welcome back to Vault of Crime. This is one of the most important cases we have ever covered. And I want you to stay with it, because the message inside this story belongs to all of us. Lynette Daley was born in 1977 and grew up in the communities of northern New South Wales. She was Bundjalung and Gumbainggir, part of the Aboriginal nations whose country covers the far north coast of New South Wales, land that stretches from the mountains to the sea in a part of Australia of extraordinary natural beauty. She was 33 years old when she died. She was a mother to multiple children. She was described by her family as warm, generous, funny, the kind of person who held her community together. Her sister Tamara Daley has spoken publicly about Lynette in the years since her death, about who she was before that weekend in January 2011, about what was taken from the children who grew up without her, about what it means to fight for justice for someone when the system that is supposed to provide it keeps looking the other way. Lynette's story does not start with her death. It starts with her life. And her life mattered in the way that all lives matter, completely, unconditionally, without qualification. I say that because what follows is a story about what happens when a system fails to treat a life as though it matters. And the contrast between who Lynette was and how her case was handled is the most important thing in this entire documentary. I want to say something directly to you before we go into what happened. Lynette Daley's case is part of a pattern. In Australia, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women are killed at rates significantly higher than non-Indigenous women. They are more likely to be the victims of family violence. They are less likely to see that violence prosecuted. This case is not an anomaly. It is the most visible example of something that happens with far less visibility every day. Telling Lynette's story is not enough, but it is something, and she deserves for it to be told properly. In January 2011, Lynette Daley traveled to 10 Mile Beach, a remote stretch of coastline near Iluka in northern New South Wales, with 2 men she knew. Adrian Atwater was her partner. Paul Maris was a companion. What happened at 10 Mile Beach over the course of that weekend was established in detail by the court that eventually heard the case, by forensic pathologists, and by the evidence that the prosecution presented at trial. I am going to tell you what happened factually and without graphic elaboration, because Lynette deserves to have what was done to her named clearly and honestly, not obscured, but also not described in a way that reduces her death to spectacle. Inside Paul Maris's 4-wheel drive Toyota Land Cruiser, which was parked on the sand dunes above the beach, Adrian Atwater subjected Lynette to a violent sexual assault of extraordinary brutality. The injuries inflicted were catastrophic. A forensic pathologist testified that the trauma ruptured an artery and caused Lynette to lose approximately 2 liters of blood. That level of blood loss is fatal without urgent medical intervention. She was dying on that beach, and the men present knew she was dying. What they did next tells you everything about their state of mind. Paul Maris took the blood-soaked mattress and Lynette's clothing out of the vehicle and onto the sand. He poured diesel fuel over them. He set them on fire. He was destroying evidence while Lynette was still alive. Then Adrian Atwater carried her, naked, bleeding, down to the ocean and placed her in the surf. He would later tell investigators she had decided to go for a swim and suffered a seizure. The court established that was a lie. He put her body in the water to wash away the blood, to wash away what they had done to her. An ambulance was eventually called. By the time paramedics arrived at 10 Mile Beach, Lynette Daley was dead. She was 33 years old. He set fire to the mattress while she was still alive. I want you to think about what that means, not as a legal determination, but as a human act. While Lynette Daley was dying from injuries he had inflicted, the man beside her was not calling for help. He was destroying evidence. He made a calculation in those moments. And the calculation he made was about himself, not about her. Police investigated Lynette's death. They compiled a brief of evidence. They submitted it to the NSW Director of Public Prosecutions. The DPP reviewed the evidence, the forensic pathology, the witness accounts, the physical evidence of what had happened at 10 Mile Beach, and decided not to prosecute. In 2011, the year it happened, no charges. The stated reason was that the prosecution did not believe a conviction was likely. The police were devastated. The investigators who had worked the case believed the evidence was sufficient. But the decision rested with the DPP. And the DPP said no. 4 years passed. Lynette's family kept pushing. Police referred the matter again. The DPP received the file a second time in 2015. They reviewed it, and they decided again not to prosecute. 2 reviews, 4 years apart, both reaching the same conclusion. Lynette's family and the police who had investigated her death were left with a documented case of a woman who had died from catastrophic violence inflicted by a man who was present, whose companion had destroyed evidence while she was dying, and whose explanation for her death had been established as false, and no charges had been laid. Then a television program decided to look at the case. In 2016, the ABC's Four Corners program, Australia's most respected investigative journalism broadcast, aired a report on Lynette Daley's case. The program was called Black, Female and Vulnerable. It put Lynette's story in front of the Australian public in a way that the justice system's repeated decisions to look away had prevented. It named what the evidence showed. It asked directly and publicly why 2 reviews of that evidence had produced no charges. It asked whether the DPP's assessment of the case would have been the same if the victim had not been an Aboriginal woman. The response from the public was significant enough that it could not be ignored. Within a relatively short period of the broadcast, the DPP reversed its position. Atwater and Maris were charged. The broadcast did what 2 police referrals and 4 years of advocacy from Lynette's family had not been able to do. It created public accountability. And public accountability produced the prosecution that the evidence had warranted from the beginning. The lesson in that sequence is not subtle, and I do not think it should be left unspoken. Lynette's family spent 5 years pushing for charges to be laid. 5 years of advocacy, of referrals, of being told no, of watching the men responsible for her death live freely. And what finally moved the system was a television program. I am not criticizing Four Corners. They did something essential and important. But I think we need to sit with the fact that a family's 5 years of grief and advocacy was not enough. Public attention was required. That gap between what a family deserves and what the system provides is the thing this case is really about. Adrian Atwater and Paul Maris were tried in the NSW Supreme Court. The trial presented the forensic evidence that investigators had compiled in 2011, the pathology, the physical evidence, the timeline of events at 10 Mile Beach. Adrian Atwater was found guilty of manslaughter and aggravated sexual assault. he was sentenced to 22 years and 6 months imprisonment, with a non-parole period of 15 years in 2017. An appeal by the Crown sought a longer sentence, and in 2018 the Court of Criminal Appeal increased his non-parole period. Paul Maris, who had burned the evidence while Lynette was dying, was acquitted of all charges. He walked out of the courtroom a free man. The acquittal of Maris was a second blow to Lynette's family, on top of everything that had preceded it. The man who had poured diesel on the mattress and set it alight while Lynette was still alive, the man who had participated in the cover-up of what had been done to her, faced no legal consequence. Atwater has since been released on parole. He served less than 8 years for the manslaughter of a woman who died from injuries he inflicted. Lynette Daley's family has had to watch all of that. Every step of it. From the 2011 decision not to prosecute to the acquittal of Maris to the parole of Atwater. They have watched the system process their daughter, their sister, their mother, and produce this. The Lynette Daley case is about a woman who was killed. But it is also about a system. It is about 2 decisions made by the NSW-DPP in 2011 and 2015 that left the men responsible for her death uncharged for 5 years. It is about a family who fought for justice and were told no twice before a television program made the case visible enough to be impossible to ignore. It is about the acquittal of a man who burned evidence while a woman was dying. And it is about a pattern that is documented, researched, named in government reports and royal commissions and academic studies. The pattern of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women being failed by the systems that are supposed to protect them. In Australia, Indigenous women are more than twice as likely to be victims of homicide as non-Indigenous women. They are significantly less likely to see that violence prosecuted. This is not an accident. It is the product of institutional decisions made over time by institutions that have not treated Aboriginal lives with equal weight. The DPP did not state explicitly that Lynette's Aboriginality influenced their decision not to prosecute. But her family, the advocates who fought for her, and the journalists who investigated the case have all asked the same question. And the question has not been answered to anyone's satisfaction. What would have happened if the DPP had looked at that same evidence in 2011 and the woman who had died was not Aboriginal? Would they have said no twice? Throughout everything, the 2 DPP refusals, the wait for charges, the trial, the acquittal of Maris, the sentencing of Atwater, the appeal, Lynette's family was present. Her sister Tamara Daley has spoken publicly about her sister with a combination of grief and determination that I find genuinely difficult to describe without losing my composure. She has talked about who Lynette was. She has talked about what her nieces and nephews, Lynette's children, have grown up without. She has talked about what it means to fight for 5 years for prosecution that should have happened in the first year. And she has talked about what she wants people to take from her sister's story. Not just the outrage, not just the system failures, but Lynette herself, the woman who existed before that weekend in January 2011. The mother, the sister, the community member, the person. Tamara Daley is one of the bravest people connected to any case we have covered at Vault of Crime. And Lynette Daley deserved a sister like her. She also deserved a system that did not require her sister to fight this hard for this long for this result. Lynette Daley was 33 years old. She was a mother. She was a daughter. She was a sister. She was Bundjalung and Gumbainggir. She belonged to a community and a country that loved her. And she died at 10 Mile Beach in January 2011 from injuries inflicted by a man who was supposed to be someone she could trust. The system that was supposed to deliver justice for her said no, twice. And then, when the public was watching, it said yes. What that sequence means about who this country protects and who it fails is a question Australia has not yet fully answered. Lynette deserved better than what she got. Her children deserved better. Her sister Tamara deserved better. And the question her case leaves behind, the one about equal protection, about whose lives are treated as mattering equally by the institutions we all rely on, belongs to all of us. It is not a question about someone else's community or someone else's country. It is a question about what Australia actually is and what it is willing to become. If this case stayed with you, and I hope it did, please share it. Not for the channel, for Lynette, so more people know her name, so more people ask the question. Subscribe to Vault of Crime. We will see you in the next one.